So, we've got two packages here. Although, this one's smaller, obviously. I apologize in advance for any coughing that may happen in this video. Mold's been a bit high for some mysterious reason. I mean, it hasn't rained here for a couple of weeks, so I don't know what it's been high now, but it's playing havoc with my allergies. And in this case, it's manifesting in the form of coughing. Let's see, nothing else in here. Let's see, and then we've got this package. Let's see. I also have a hurt spot on the hand. There we go. And the other side. So, let's come up with an order to look at these, like so. Begin with the television series Patlabor Collection 1 on Blu-ray, which is finally shipped from Amazon. So it's been in stock on TRSI's site for a long time now, I think. Every time I looked, it looked like it was in stock. So I guess the fact that I never tried to order it pretty much meant I didn't know for certain. Now, I haven't tried comparing this to the TV series because I have the really old release of this series on DVD, so I'm just doing the Blu-ray upgrade for now. I don't know much about the series itself, other than that it exists, I guess. Next up, we got the DVD and Blu-ray versions of Shining Hearts. I have no idea what this is, but since Sentai released it on both DVD and Blu-ray, that means there is a dub, and I did see in the back here that says English audio. Blu-ray is just a slightly smaller version. Let's see. I actually, if I called these a collection, no, I didn't. I didn't call these anything yet. So, according to the back, they've got all 12 episodes on 2 discs. 3 discs, 2 discs. And here in the Blu-ray version we have a cat girl and another girl. Melon girl? Not melon. Bread girl? Oh, well, I guess they're holding bread, so they do bread. I know why I was thinking melon. I was thinking of melon bread. This is yet a different person. So it's kind of nice that they've mixed up images on both the DVD and the Blu-ray versions. Next up, we've got a Eureka 7 Owl, Part 1. Didn't really check to see if there was supposed to be a Part 2 that shipped. This is Funimation release. So, let's see how this works. I don't know entirely how this compares to the first one. And I'm calling it Ureka because I think that's how they pronounced the character's name from Eureka 7. 12 episodes. And this is DVD. So, as I thought, this is DVD and Blu-ray collection. DVD, Blu-ray, and Blu-ray. There's the image on the inside of the cover, which I guess should probably look up when Part 2 is supposed to come out in case I missed that for some reason. For this, we've got an insert designed to serve as padding for once I eventually get the rest of it. Nothing complicated. And as y'all probably saw here, we've got the Dragon Ball Z Rock the Dragon edition. For those of you who aren't familiar with this and don't know what it is, the very first dub for Dragon Ball Z, well, the song they played there was called Rock the Dragon, and so this is essentially the complete collection of all the episodes from the first dub, including the first two movies. I'm not quite sure where to open this. Looks like it's right here. So I'm hunting for it so that I can... And this packaging feels weak. It's kind of similar dimension to the NIS packages, but it's definitely not as strong of a packaging. I can kind of feel it. But let's dig into this, because I'm a bit curious how they package this, since it already looked like it was going to be a rather strange packaging. Oh, I can feel. Got a book that slides out. There we go. There's a forward. Information about the heroes. The dragon. Now we've got our discs. As you can see, they are in sleeves. So we've got episode 41, 47, 53, and then the first three movies. Just like that. Interesting. Let's see. So this is the closest we have for information. It doesn't actually say, but the assumption I'd have is, since I think they did some episode editing here, there's not going to be as many episodes, so naturally it would only have that one dub. I guess speaking of NIS releases, let's go with the next item here of the Daily Lives of High School Boys. Or maybe not the, but just Daily Lives of High School Boys. A series that I've heard nicknamed Nichi Bros. Mostly because Daily Life, I guess, is Nichijou, and if you're familiar with the anime Nichijou, it sounded like this was released not too different of a time frame, but since this anime had Nichijou in the title, but it's about a bunch of guys, they call it Nichi Bros, or something like that. I think it's kind of a catchy name. It rolls off the tongue better than Daily Lives of High School Boys. As you can see, this is a Blu-ray only release. NIS doesn't do a whole lot of those, but they do. I guess we go here. We've got a standard book. This one's a manual for boys and girls, daily guide for high school life, talking about characters, and it's got the pretty standard NIS episode discussions, character art, and information. It's a nice addition to the collection. I wanted to watch this one, but as it's subtitled, kind of didn't get as much priority as a couple of other things. So let's do a comparison right here, right now, of these two sets. We can see that it's slightly thicker, and that might make sense. The Dragon Ball Z Rock the Dragon collection is mostly that book. And so, since this is a book and a thick... I don't know. I guess that is a slightly thicker book, isn't it? You can kind of see, holding them to the side like this, the Dragon Ball Z Rock the Dragon set is not quite as wide as the NIS releases, and it's actually ever so slightly longer. So that probably gives y'all a pretty good idea of the dimensions involved. Next up, we've got a kind of a noteworthy one to look at. We've got the DVD and Blu-ray releases for Sword Art Online. And this one actually, let's see how to do this. Let's begin with the DVD version. As you can see, you got a slipcover. And the nice thing about this slipcover is it's got alternative artwork. On the inside, we've got, let's see, very scenic scene. I think from the first episode, you got your proof of purchase and your questionnaire, and then you've got this, which looks like a combination information / poster if you want to use it for one or the other. The discs, as you can see, have some nice art on them, if not reflecting the camera. Hi, YouTube. One thing that's noteworthy, I only noticed this because I was playing around with this on the computer, but even though this says this is disc 2 and this is disc 1, the images are actually reversed. So the one labeled disc 1 is disc 2, the one labeled disc 2 is disc 1. It was a bit of a unsettling observation at first. I thought I had accidentally mixed them up, but I went back and forth a couple of times, and no, it just turned out that at least on my copy, the images are reversed. Fortunately, both are still there, even though they've just been swapped. This may be something worth checking out or taking into consideration if you're going to buy that, because you can still get both discs. Might not make a big difference. The Blu-ray, of course, is packaged a little differently and with significantly different artwork. First of all, there are 2 cases, but for the Blu-ray, there's actually still only 2 discs. One thing worth noting is the Sword Art Online Blu-ray actually has the additional content, as far as I can tell. I mean, I thought I looked on the DVD versions, and I could be wrong. I've also never seen a clear version DVD cases with these. But basically, the first 3 episodes of Sword Art Offline are on here. Fair warning to anybody who's watching this for the first time like me. It looked like the 3rd episode of Sword Art Offline, which is on the 2nd disc here, also covers content from episode 8, which is not included in this set. But it's also not terribly... It didn't appear to be terribly spoilerific, I guess. This second case is the original soundtrack. More pretty imagery. And just a simple CD soundtrack with 33 tracks on it. Quite a bit of tracks. For all this extra stuff, as you can see, the Blu-ray is packed with a lot more items. We got an illustration booklet, which, as its namesake would imply, is full of illustrations. Let's see, the stickiness on the back of this it never came out. Next up, we got some postcards. I've not opened this before, so let's do this on the video. They're not sliding as much as they usually do, but they definitely have some very nice artwork to them. You can feel at least one more here. I think that's all of them if I didn't miss any in the middle there. Yeah, looks like it. Backs are just postcards. And then over here you've got your standard proof of purchase, questionnaire. You got something that is an advertisement for maybe what is this? English edition. I have no clue what that is, but that's right. This also has an advertisement for something related to Sword Art Online, and a Sword Art Online card of some sort from I'm assuming a collectible card game. This is the thing that was on the back of the case. It was actually stuck to this sticky stuff right here that you seem to give me a couple problems in this video. So, let's go over again 3 things you might want to note of the Sword Art Online release. The DVD version does not have the 3 Sword Art offline episodes, as far as I could tell. The 2 images on here were accidentally swapped. They're still both there, they just are labeled backwards. And episode 3 of Sword Art Offline covers a little bit of content from episode 8 that doesn't seem terribly spoilerific, but since I haven't seen episode 8 yet, I can't say with 100% certainty. Alright. We've got one final thing to talk about, and that's Kick Heart. Yes, my copy finally arrived, and this is what the Blu-ray, DVD, and soundtrack collection looks like. It came with a couple of other things. A thank you to the backers. And we got postcards here, which I've not tried to look at. So let's take a look at them now. So for those of you who are unfamiliar with Kick Heart, it was anime produced by, or it is an anime produced by Production IG that was funded, at least in part, through Kickstarter. Kick Heart. See, that's why they called it that. And I didn't donate a whole lot, but I was a bit tight on cash at the time, so I could only do so much. Backers, thank you. I am happy. You see? Oh, yes. I recognize a lot of these things. Thank you, backers. So the box that the Kick Heart stuff came in was actually surprisingly small. Very compact for all the little things it had in it. And I say that because, in addition to those, we also got a poster, which may actually be a little too big to do this close to the camera, so I'll just keep it a bit low down. As you can see, it actually folds out surprisingly big. I would say it's the same image that's on the case, but I'd have to look slightly more closely to be sure. I'm also not quite sure how I'm going to go about hanging up a poster in here, since I haven't done a lot of poster hanging. But before we go over to talk about the things I've watched, let's do the customary peek at everything that I got this week. This is actually a rather nice update, a very wide variety of stuff. A lot of it added up a lot. There was interesting information to give you, such as strange DVD dimensions and packaging, or sticking to the other DVD again, or relevant release-related information, as well as unusual and unique stuff. So there you go. That's all of this week's anime. Fuck. Now, let's start talking about what I've watched. So, off the top of the very first, okay, I guess first I have to say, finally finished Stargate Atlantis, so we don't have to worry about, oh yeah, that's right, I also got a Kick Heart t-shirt with my Kick Heart stuff, but I finished Stargate Atlantis, so now that that's done, I can actually focus on more anime related stuff again, and I can't help but feel like there's stuff I want to watch, and it really helped. There was some really neat stuff that came, but let's begin with the first thing on my list. I mean, it's a small list because I still didn't finish Stargate Atlantis until Sunday, but I watched Haganai. I don't know what its Japanese name was, but its subtitle is I Don't Have Many Friends, and I have to say I actually rather enjoyed it. There's a couple of things about it. For starters, I thought the main character was actually a kind of entertaining one. Sometimes you can feel that cognitive... Is it cognitive dissonance? It's when you hold two conflicting... I guess it's a sort of cognitive dissonance, but it's more like one held by the show itself when they have a rather uninteresting male lead and they just throw a bunch of pretty girls around them. And a lot of harem anime kind of dodge around that problem, but a couple of them decide to play from a different perspective. I remember Shuffle at least interesting me initially because it wasn't playing that. The Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya begins with an interesting male protagonist, and I thought this one, well, he was not particularly spectacular. He's a fairly interesting guy. He's just bad at making friends. So, and I guess that's the preference. A lot of these people, for one reason or another, are bad at making friends, and that's kind of what brings them together-ish. Basically, it's not set in stone for sure, as far as I'm concerned, so much as they do just kind of happen to get together. But I kind of feel like they do work well together, more so than in a lot of harem anime I've seen. On top of that, I have to give the show a lot of credit for highly amusing me in the second episode when the character started playing Monster Hunter. As some of y'all may know, that is a game I've been playing a lot of lately, Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate. That's a lot of the reason why I've been putting off subtitled anime unless it's really important. In fact, I've recently passed the 500-hour mark. I don't know where all the time has gone there. But I thought it was a real funny reference in the anime, and that one kind of gave me one of the biggest most entertaining parts of it, but there were a lot of other things that were just highly amusing. The two main female leads, which you can kind of tell are the main leads based on the opening, their bickering is a lot like Ryoko and Ayaka's from Tenchi, in that with less emphasis on, oh yeah, he's definitely mine or something like that. Because in Tenchi, that's all they ever fought about, except for everything else, which they always fought about. But the basic idea is you had your two main female characters who were always butting heads and conflicting with each other, and the Tenchi, it was very hit or miss. In this anime, it's a little bit similar, I'd say. A lot of the stuff that happened in this episode in particular are actually very entertaining. Yeah, episode 2, the Monster Hunter episode, I meant. For a lot of it, it was hit or miss. Hard to say, because sometimes when they're bickering as much as they are, it's hard to respect them as intelligent or likable characters. But the good thing is that the series kind of keeps everything. That's right. English dub. So I never watched the Japanese dub for this one, of course. Save for the one scene from, I think, the second... Well, actually, I watched the season. So the one scene from the second season where they are all on the roller coaster. It's something you can find on YouTube rather easily, I think. And it was interesting kind of reverse engineering what that scene meant in terms of what happened in this series. But it also meant that that was my only exposure to the Japanese dub with English subtitles. And so, given that, I think the English dub is actually perfectly good. It didn't create any dissonance in my head. It just seemed to, yeah, these characters are like that. Although, there is one character I'm kind of curious about if, how different listening to her Japanese with English subtitles would be, but that's a curiosity, and it doesn't necessarily strike me as wrong. So, there we go. Where it ended, I guess there was an OVA on there that kind of touted itself as a inappropriate for TV sort of episode, maybe? Or maybe somebody jokingly mentioned that. I bring it up just because, talking about the series now, I recall thinking, well, I wonder how this is going to compare to Excel Saga episode 26. Didn't really. Excel Saga episode 26 is designed to insult your sensibilities, I think. Whereas this was just kind of something strange. But it works fine as a 13th episode, I guess. I can't think of much else to really say about it. So, I guess with that we move on to the next thing I watched, which is a couple of episodes of K-On! With my brother. I forgot that last week I also watched K-On! We're halfway through the second season now, and I can't think of anything particularly noteworthy to say there other than it continues to be entertaining. I think I mentioned before, much longer ago, that taking a break at the beginning of the season ended up being kind of good, because now in this rewatch I'm able to kind of appreciate kind of the freshness of the material without having to be reminded of the fact that it kept referencing itself in the first couple of episodes. Like it was not quite as effective as the first season. So, yeah, it basically continues to be entertaining in the second season, in this rewatch. But I can't think of too many noteworthy things to say. But after that, I watched Kick Heart, because that arrived yesterday, and I did this watching with my brother yesterday instead of today. It's a complicated week. I don't need this mold floating around the air messing with things anymore. So let's see. What to say about Kick Heart? Oh, I can at least say that both myself and my brother were quite amused and entertained by it. Was it worth $100? Well, I think it was. But then again, I spent $100 because, well, that was kind of the borderline of where I wanted to go. I knew I wanted that Blu-ray, and I thought it was actually a pretty good deal for it. Mostly because of the extras. You don't even usually get this much extras when you pay for other anime. And that $100 included shipping. I mean, compare contrast to Little Witch Academia, whose pre-order came out today, actually, didn't it? 13th? Yeah, today. And with shipping, that one's going to be $90-ish. And I don't think that one's going to come with a shirt. And so what can I say? The shirt's kind of nice to have. Y'all have seen that I don't cycle through new shirts. It's always the same old shirts. So I don't increase my shirt supply as much as I would really like to. I should probably do that. Now, all worth aside, content-wise, Kick Heart definitely begins really strange, where you're like, not quite sure where the budget went, if it was in there, and this is mostly just because of the opening for it. It's a bit strange. I think it's designed to catch you a little off guard like that. The rest of it is not anything like that. It's actually, it's a short, neat little story. But it's also very strange. It's 12 minutes, so if I talk too much about it, I'm definitely going to spoil something. Yeah, I just can't really describe it too much. Like I said, both of us found it to be quite enjoyable. It caught us off guard numerous times, and it's just a rather strange story that kind of played with my expectations very well, especially since I went into humming the Yellow Line theme from Red Line. Well, let's see. After watching that, you know, because we got that over with really fast, the next thing I did was I watched the first 7 episodes of Sword Art Online, which is basically what I had, and 3 episodes of Sword Art Offline. And I think there's a lot more to say about Sword Art Online, simply because, A, it had an incredibly compelling start, Not necessarily because of what happens to all of the characters, so much as the interactions between the characters and the setup for what our main character wants to do. And the series, at least at this beginning part, does a really good job of that. I heard it kind of maybe goes a little weird, so I'm trying to be open to the fact that it's probably not going to always be satisfying, but for these 7 episodes, I found that it was actually rather satisfying. And it's a different kind of satisfying to hack sign because, well, some people may say that it's like hack sign, but I think that's not a really accurate description, since it'd be probably more accurate to say it is conceptually like hack sign. There's some ideas in there that you could say sound like you're watching hack sign, but then there's some important details. Probably the most important one would be that hack sign is set up as a very mysterious sort of setup. There's actually nobody in the show is like, how could this be? Oh yeah, it would be this way. You know that in Sword Art Online, they're like, how could it be? Oh yeah, it's this way. But in Hack Sign, there was just like, the fuck? How is this even possible? And along similar lines, that contrast, the contrast between having only one person have it happen to in Hack Sign versus this strange event happening to multiple people, a huge number of people at once, it's important because the two anime kind of deal with an escape from the real world sort of concept, but they're clearly approaching it from a different angle. A lot of this can be seen in the ideas behind Sword Art Online, where our main character is actually pretty good at the game he's playing, whereas in Hack Sign, Tsukasa was pretty crappy. He just wasn't really that good. And this kind of tells you, in Sword Art Online, our main character is escaping into something that is really good, whereas Hack Sign is kind of about escapism itself, because with Sword Art Online, they don't have to kind of dwell on the fact, they kind of play around with kind of the situation they're in more than how people interact with that situation and why. So, you know, it's those basic concepts that make the two series pretty different. Hack Sign is kind of an exploration of fuck, I was just using that word. Escapism. Hack Sign is about escapism in general, and Sword Art Online is somewhat more about survival ishness, I guess. So it's very interesting to think about the two. I have to say that I was at least entertained by the end of the 7th episode, to the point where I wished I had the rest of the series. I'll just patiently wait for the rest of it, though, and I will remember how good these 7 episodes were for me by showing them to other people. That's a good plan. So, now that, I think that's everything I watched. Oh, I did watch Sword Art Offline, and it was okay. Nothing spectacular, but just kind of somewhat entertaining, with the characters talking about the stuff in the anime from a news center perspective, and referencing some ideas that are not that are kind of on the surface of, oh yeah, why do all the chicks dig this guy? Things like that. Nothing complicated. That seems to be the major theme behind Sword Art Offline, in my opinion, but that could easily change. The trivia is interesting, but I don't know how much of that I even remember at this point. I guess that's everything. That's all the anime, and I think I already mentioned that Little Witch Academia is pre-orderable. I believe you have to get it from the Trigger website, but I could be mistaken. There could be other sites. And I guess nothing else comes to mind in terms of taking care of things. So, y'all, have a nice week.